Good afternoon and welcome to the Daily Briefing. It's Thursday, April 16th, 2020. I'm J.R. Lewis, glad to be with you on KLAM and KCDV, and equally glad to be 2 for 2 with Mayor Koplin. He is our guest, and if you hear something you want to share with others, this program will go on to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Cordova TV. It will air in the 1 p.m. hour, 5 p.m. hour, and 8 p.m. hour on KLAM and KCDV, as is our regular schedule while things are still actively developing here with COVID-19. Let me point out, too, if you're interested in the city's working document for a harbor plan, a mitigation plan for the harbor, we covered that this morning on the Town Meeting Talk Show, and that show is on our YouTube channel, so you can hear that. Right now, though, we're going to visit with Mayor Koplin on your Daily Briefing. Mayor Koplin, welcome back. Nice to have you on today's Daily Briefing. And let's start now with that meeting yesterday, which I have not been bashful about sharing, that I thought was wonderful, being in the communication side of things and some of the developments there. And apparently my enthusiasm is not the only enthusiasm. You've been getting pretty good feedback that yesterday's council meeting was a good one.
Yeah, I have actually. I've had members of the public and then even some of the after discussion with councilmen and so forth that they felt like information, they're starting to get more visibility into what the incident management team has actually been working on. And the public is seeing that, yes, our suggestions are being listened to and they're actually starting to be incorporated into the incident team's plan, or at least we're seeing that now that's been happening. So I think it was a very positive meeting.
So what would you say were some of your major takeaways as everything unfolded?
Well, one of mine is, again, the importance of structure, organizational structure. And I remember when I first got on city council, I took the newly elected officers training, and one of the things they taught was that kind of the roles of governance is to consider and adopt policy, and the role of staff is to recommend and interpret and implement policy. So the idea is the policy makers, the community leaders say, this is where we want you to sail the ship. And then it's the city staff and human resources. They're the ship captain and crew and that get you there. And so it's the same with the incident command structure. And, you have to have quick on the ground tactical decision making. So you kind of want to maintain that separation. And that's just a real positive structure. So, for example, during an emergency, it may be policy decision may be, hey, let's keep the community safe. And then the incident management team says, okay. And then they put plans together. They collaborate with the community and the elements of their team. And then they may come back and say, hey, here's our plan. And here's the resources we need from you to implement that plan, and here's some options on how to implement that plan, perhaps. So that's a good. That's one of that's where we're at right now. I think that's what the meetings this afternoon and tomorrow are going to kind of talk about: is what are the different roles? How do we effectively keep council and tribal council and city council in the driver's seat, and yet not get in the way of or impede actual physical work and tactics that need to be implemented to get it done.
And yet, again, another thing that to me was a big relief was the improvements to communications. How do you feel like that message was delivered and responded to, letting people know what's going on?
Well, I think it's really critical. I would say that's the first thing that the city council directed is, hey, from a policy standpoint, we need better communications for ourselves and for the community. So the incident team, I can tell you, had already recognized that, and we're working on some of those elements. But the council and community got some visibility into those steps. I know the city manager is hired a public relations firm to get professional guidance on that. We have a councilman Councilman Sherman, Kathy Sherman, that's actually a public information officer in the incident management team who can be a bridge. And I think it was as good. I think council sees the responsiveness of the team to address their policy concerns, and it was a big win. There's still work to be done, and as Councilman Sherman mentioned during the meeting, we do need to get a website that's user-friendly, where the information is clear and accessible, and the team is working on that, and that should be launched very soon.
Yeah. Now, as far as the meeting this afternoon, what's the goal there, the 3 p.m. meeting with the Tribal Council?
It's a regularly scheduled weekly meeting, so it's a chance just to for the governance of the community to coordinate and, again, consider policies for the benefit of the community, to make resources available to each other and just communicate as community leaders. I think it's also an opportunity maybe to get more communications and input from the incident command on some structural ideas. And I think for our incident command meeting this morning that may be an element to that meeting. And it certainly will be, the exact element of tomorrow's noon meeting with council and the incident management team.
Yeah, I was going to move to that. So tomorrow's meeting is with the IMT, and the idea is what with that one?
That one is to actually go through the incident management plan and show or explain to the city council what the council and the policies maker role is within a response to an emergency. So what their roles as policy makers are, and have the conversation and help define the line between what the incident management team is doing and what the policy makers are doing, so that those are a coordinated and a collaborative effort rather than a competing effort.
Yeah.
And that should be a good, productive meeting.
Gets everybody pulling in the same direction. Okay, great. Well, and I'm looking forward to seeing those, and we've been, as we're able, we're archiving them along with the city. So that'll be content that if people can't see it when it happens live, there will be places to see it after the fact. It was interesting after yesterday's meeting, right after this sort of expanded communication stuff got laid on the table, and again, I think made great progress. You sort of had a whirlwind media tour almost after you gavelled out there. How did that go?
It went pretty good, and you and I, you of course are one of our most available and best resources for communicating to Cordova. But I also had a call from Seattle Times and from Alaska Public Media, and actually had a chance to work with City Manager Helen and through her with our new public relations to get some good talking points to help clarify the city's plan and our position, and to do it in a positive light to the media to show what we're doing. And I'll give you an example. I worked with a doctor a little bit who told me one of the best things people can do for coronavirus health is to eat salmon. And we have this Copper River fishery coming up, and it's a big concern for the community. So it's a chance to emphasize that our number one priority is protection of the life and health of Cordova citizens. Protecting the environment is the next priority, and that the economy is actually a lower priority. So that as we're working the economic, the operational parts of the fishery, that we don't lose sight of what our priorities are. But we don't want to throw throw our fishery that we've worked so hard to develop to the wind. So we still want to emphasize the importance of the fishery and the fantastic seafood that we have available in Cordova year to year to year. So we're just trying to send that balanced message through the media, and it's really helpful when we can have those conversations and communicate for the council and the community. Well,
and it's interesting, too, to have, as you said, doctor recommendations, not from a seafood marketer or from anybody, but actual feedback from a doctor that people that have a salmon diet, does it potentially help with immunity or reduction of symptoms, or what was the guidance from the doctor?
Well, from his perspective, again, he's not an epidemiologist, but he's closely following this coronavirus. He's more of a nutritionist and a general practitioner. But he said the war starts at the cell wall on your lungs, and good amino balance in your cell walls strengthens your cells. So the very first front line of the battle is really well supported by aminos. And where do those come from? They come from salmon. So he says, if you're in the highest risk group right now and you change your diet to include vegetables and healthy foods and a good protein like salmon every day with those aminos, and you double the amount of exercise you're doing, you double your chances of walking out of an emergency room within 2 weeks. So that's good stuff.
It is. And, it speaks to the amazing resource right out there in our waters. Something else I was wondering, too, and I appreciate the extra time here, but has there been much contact between yourself or the council and the state level folks? I mean, do you get to visit with the governor, or what's the communication like been there?
JR, I got to tell you, I hope I don't sound rushed, but I actually just got a text from John Mueller, who's a special assistant to the governor on fisheries. He called me, actually, and I messaged him that I'll get with him as soon as possible here. But, Ben Stevens, the chief of staff, called last night. We spent about a half an hour. The administration recognizes what a important first big salmon fishery the Prince William Sound is, and that it's going to help guide what happens in the rest of the fisheries to an extent. And so I feel like they've been working really closely with us. And, we recognize they can't communicate every day. I try to keep my communications reaching out to them to just very high level, very important concerns that they can help with. But they've been reaching out to us lately. So I just want the community and state to know that this administration is taking this very seriously. They're working directly with communities to try to craft plans that work for us to protect our communities.
All right. Well, then let's get you free of us and on to the next thing in a row. Clay, thank you very much, as always, for the time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. Very busy man, Mayor Koplin. We are glad to have had him for 2 days in a row here on KLAM and KCDV's Daily Briefing, which is designed to bring you the best information available as quickly as possible regarding the COVID-19 situation and the city's response. Again, if you're interested in the city's harbor plan, we covered that on the talk show this morning, and you can hear that talk show as well as this program that's airing right now on our YouTube channel, where we archive these things. That's youtube.com/Cordova TV. Daily briefings play in the 1 p.m., 5 p.m., and 8 p.m. hours on KLAM and KCDV, and again, become available on YouTube as soon as we can get them uploaded. On behalf of Mayor Koplin, I'm J.R. Lewis. Thank you for listening, and we'll return you now to regular programming.